Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Drop in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. Let me know. Hi, Deek. It's Deek here. Everyone, hello, hello. We got everyone coming in from Birmingham, Alabama is Tracy. Pam is in Ottawa. Mona's in New Jersey. Diana's in Spain. Isabel's in Fort Lauderdale. Janetta's in Maryland. Mirka's also in Spain. Shannon is in Kansas. Hero's in North Carolina. Emily is in Zurich. I love seeing we have some newbies to the travel coach certification program in here, Emily and Mirka. So welcome, welcome. All right, guys. Well, let's get started. Carrie's also another member. She's in Austin, Texas. All right, I'm going to keep an eye on the weight room here, but welcome to our free 6-day travel coach workshop. I know a lot of people were super excited about this. Over the next well, including today, 6 days, I will be going through a wide range of things for you guys to start thinking about for getting started in your own travel coaching business on your own. So, today we're going to be covering, first of all, what is a travel coach and also how to figure out your niche. We'll talk about finding your ideal client. If you guys can all do me a favor and just mute yourself for me. I should have done that myself, but I didn't. Thank you. There is going to be room for opportunity for questions, but this is a workshop. I do have some slides to share, just kind of go through with the questions that I have you guys asking yourselves. But I want this to be engaging. This is a workshop. I want you to tell me your ideas, tell me your thoughts, tell me your story. So I'm here to help you guys figure this out for yourself as well too. So essentially it's kind of like a free coaching session that you get here. Hi, Bruce. Bruce is another newbie to the program. Welcome, welcome. All right. Okay, I'm going to share my screen here. So before we do get started, for those who don't know who I am, I'm Sahar Rose DeBoer. I'm the founder and CEO of the Travel Coach Network. Before founding the Travel Coach Network, I was a global backpacker. I graduated with a degree in hospitality and tourism management in 2010. I was very underwhelmed with the lack of options that I felt like there were in the industry. I was also struggling with anxiety and depression. And so I wanted to figure out who I was as a person, what I wanted out of life, what was going to make me happy. And I decided to go backpacking to Western Europe, something I'd always heard about. I thought I was going to go for a month and a half, absolutely fell in love with what travel was doing for me. Internally, mentally, things I'm sure you guys can probably relate to as well. And I continued my journey traveling to 84 countries solo over the next 10 years. I still struggled to figure out what career path I could have in the travel industry. I didn't want to book trips for other people and be a travel agent. For me, because I have an anxiety disorder, that gave me too much anxiety. I don't want the responsibility. I've had that experience before already for friends and family. I would have my mom and up to 5 of her friends come visit me many times, or we would go on trips together or cruises or something like that. So I have the experience doing that. I said, that's not for me. I am not a big fan of writing. It takes me a long time to get an article out. And I was like, I don't want to be a travel writer. I'm not interested in working hotels. I actually have a fear of flying. I don't want to live on an airplane, be a flight attendant. I don't want to work for a company that pays me to travel for business. I come from the restaurant industry. I've met a lot of business travelers, and they don't get to do very much outside of their task and why they're in town, right? And so I said, what else is there? And I still struggled. So I gave myself grace. I said, by the time I'm 30, I just chose an age. I said, by the time I'm 30, I'm going to quote unquote figure out my life. I will sit down and figure things out. Until then, I will enjoy all of my journeys backpacking. And that's what I did. During that time, I learned a lot about the tourism industry. There's a rise in technology, social media, all of the impact that that had on the way we traveled, how we traveled, and then also how travel was being marketed, uh, the images, the words, the companies that were coming about. And I began to realize a big void in the industry. I had had tens of thousands of conversations with other travelers over those years of traveling. And what I was understanding and hearing was that travel is so personal to us. Why we travel, there's deeper reasons for that other than just to go on a vacation or to get away. And everyone has a unique story when it comes to travel, and travel makes an impact on all of us in such unique ways as well. So I said, how come this sort of rhetoric isn't used in the industry, and especially when it comes to how travel is being planned and booked? I felt like that was very surface level, very generic, same types of beaches and nightlife, and we hear the same thing over and over again. And I felt like the industry lacked the emotions that tourism brings us, travel brings us. And that's when I decided to, I turned 30. I said, I have to figure out this career path. I didn't find what I was looking for. So the first time I bought a laptop and started traveling with a little mini laptop, I was in the north of Spain in Bilbao. And I was in my hostel community room, and I opened up my laptop and said, how do I start an online business? What are people doing online? What are people doing online in the travel space? And that's when I came across the coaching industry. I saw life and business and health and wellness coaches. And I said, wow, that's a big industry. I never thought about a coach before in any way. And something inside me clicked. And I said, that's it. I want to be a travel coach. And that was in 2018. And I spent over the next year figuring out what kind of travel coaching business do I want to have. And so I started a wellness travel coaching business. I thought it was interesting that companies weren't paying attention to or taking serious the desire for travel of their employees. So people were quitting their job to travel the world. People were quitting the 9 to 5 to travel the world. They were leaving the cubicle to travel the world. All these different kind of slogans and sayings came out, right? And I said, why aren't companies waking up? Like there's so much benefit that travel can bring us as not only personally, but professionally. And if wellness, they say they care about wellness, they say they care about company culture, and they say they care about their employees, travel could be a really important piece for that. So I started my wellness travel coaching business, and I targeted that towards business travelers and corporate. And I got paid to travel, to speak on stages, stayed at really great resorts, met incredible companies, got some great opportunities. But early on in that, I had a lot of interest in travel coaching, and another gut instinct said there's a void in this industry when it comes to what we can do with travel coaching. And voila, and I founded the Travel Coach Network. So today, the Travel Coach Network is the world's first and only global platform that trains, educates, and certifies travel coaches around the world. So today's session, day one of the workshop, I'm going to go briefly into what is a travel coach anyways? What is it not? That's also important. And then we're going to get started for all of you guys on figuring out what could your niches be in this industry. All right. So hi, welcome everyone who is just joining us while I was chatting. Drop in the chat where you guys are tuning in from. Is this workshop for onboarding new coaches or for people working on the program? It is for, it's not for onboarding new coaches, but it's for anyone who's feeling like they're not sure what their niche is. So if you're in the program, this is great for you to be here. This is essentially another workshop that we can do on figuring out and narrowing down your own your niche and getting more clarity for yourself too. We do cover different topics over the next couple of days. So therefore, if maybe you're like, oh, well, I already know my niche, but I'm not sure how to formulate my core message, well, tomorrow will be great for you then. So kind of come in and take whatever it is that I'm going through over the next couple days and use it however you would like, right? Everyone's at a different part in their journeys. Hello, hello. All right. All right, so I'm going to share this here with you. I never hit the right buttons. All right. So first of all, we're going to start with what is a travel coach? The travel coach industry has been growing tremendously. And with any industry that grows, there becomes different definitions out there. So under the Travel Coach Network, the travel coach is someone who helps people set intentions for their trips, bring reason to why they want to travel, and helps people use travel as a tool or a vessel or a medium for things like transformation, healing, self-discovery, personal growth, professional growth, whatever goals or aspirations that your ideal client has. Okay, that's going to look different for every single one of you because you're going to have a different type of ideal client. And so it's about helping people use travel as a piece of their toolkit for maybe it's wellness, maybe it's for, career transition clarity, whatever it is. I'm going to go through some examples of niches in a couple slides here, but those goals and aspirations will vary depending on your ideal client. So instead of seeing travel as a vacation, something you can take once or twice a year, something that stays very surface level with an overpacked itinerary, or you come back home and you need a vacation from your vacation. There's so much research out there, and I spent years researching when I was building my own wellness travel coaching business that talks about the various mental, emotional, spiritual, physical, social, intellectual, physiological, and professional wellness benefits that travel can have on us. And so that's essentially what travel coaching is doing. It's taking this information and applying it to specific individuals or ideal clients, depending on where they are in their life and what it is that they need. So we'll go through some examples of that so you have a little bit more clarity on it. Travel coaches do not focus on the booking phase of a trip, not travel agents. The Travel Coach Network is not a travel agency. But with that said, there are a lot of travel agents who have come into the Travel Coach Network, or travel agents, advisors, I'll kind of use that interchangeably, to learn how they can combine travel coaching with their services to enhance their services. There's so many benefits when it comes to that, including staying out in the industry, building a business that's more authentic and unique to yourself and your own story, how you show up in your marketing, how to get more specific and narrow down in your messaging. So beyond that, there's actually on our website, thetravelcoachnetwork.com, there is a training for specifically for travel advisors, travel agents to combine coaching, travel coaching into your business if you're interested in that. Right. What a travel coach also is not is what I've heard this a couple times from people is that I'm not a travel agent coaching other travel agents. So sometimes people call that a travel coach too. I am not the travel coach police. I cannot tell you people who can and can't use the term, but under the Travel Coach Network, who we are pioneering the industry of travel coaching, that this is our definition. All right, so some examples of travel coach niches. These are just a few. We have over 635 students in our travel coach certification program, and everyone does something so different. So these are just a few that came off the top of my mind as I was writing these down. So travel coaches who focus on overwhelmed moms or maybe busy moms, someone who doesn't put themselves first, they take care of everyone else. Burnout professionals. So again, someone at the higher level who is constantly in go mode or is always on, but again, lacks self-care. Empty nesters or life transitions in general. So that could be someone going through a divorce, empty nesters, loss is also common. You'll see grief on here too. We have travel coaches who have used help women because it's their own story. So we'll go into this. Have experienced tremendous loss in their life, whether it's their children or their partner or their spouse, and use travel as a way to heal, find themselves again in their own life, and now empowers and guides and helps other individuals, in particular women, do the same thing. Solo travel. Some of these are going to sound pretty broad, but over the next couple slides, I'm going to share why we can't just say I serve solo travelers or I serve wellness travel or transformational travel. Those are very broad terms, but going back to just some basic examples here, solo travelers, especially female solo travelers, as well as 40, 50, 60 plus women solo travelers. Fear-based travel, so those helping people who, want to travel or go on their first trip and they don't know where to start. They have a lot of limiting beliefs around travel. Maybe these are things that you guys have been questioned about yourself. How did you do it? Or, how did you get started? Or what are your best resources? Or how are you not afraid? Or how do you stay safe and all of that good stuff? Like I said, transformational travel is very broad, but that is growing a term that's growing in popularity in the industry. Travel is transformational. So again, that's pretty redundant for me. It's, pretty redundant to say transformational travel, but it's up to you as the business owner, as the travel coach, to specify what type of transformation and who's it for. So we'll go further into that. Family travel. Family is another very general term. So we have travel coaches who focus on families, multi-generational families going on cruises. Very specific. We have travel coaches who help parents with big kids get their big kids in on the involvement and the benefits of traveling, as despite the complications that could have. Families who travel with children with a certain disability or autism. So again, very specific to you as an individual, as a travel coach. Remote workers also. So what kind of remote work? So is it moving abroad? Is it finding a work-life balance when you're traveling? Is it helping people who work full-time traveling? So it could be very specific within that. Career breaks and sabbaticals is also a very popular one. And then we also have travel coaches who are blind and help empower others to use travel as a way to break out of their own limiting beliefs and capabilities in life. Orly is someone in our program who that comes from. We have another Lindsay as well, partially blind. So it's really inspiring of how impactful and beneficial travel can be for us in so many ways. But again, it's very specific to who we are and what our story is. All right, this is just a quick show of some of our travel coaches lately in the media for what it is that they specialize in. So Sue up here is the one who lost her partner abruptly and you started using solo travel, and she was highlighted in England in Women's Weekly for that. Kaya serves families, so overworked parents who kind of don't know where to start and how to go on trips and specific for their own families, was recently featured in The Atlantic, which is fantastic. Laura's one with the big kids. She was on Impactful Parenting podcast. Colleen was in Her Nation magazine. She helps people use travel as a holistic tool in their holistic wellness toolkit. Sonia, Prescribing Travel, takes people on pilgrimages. She's a transformational travel coach, pilgrimages in El Camino. So these are just a few recent ones that we've had. Charlotte was in this publication, and her niche, I'm trying to get in here. Her niche is she helps people who don't feel like they want to be in their country anymore find a new country to live in. So it's not really a relocation, but it's kind of a moving abroad coach. I don't know. I don't remember the type of title she uses, but that is Charlotte. Right. So why having a niche matters? What I hear people who say they have a travel business or they want to start a travel business say is that, well, it's travel, so anyone likes to travel. I can serve anyone, or I'll just coach and work with anyone who comes my way. But the problem with that is that is not a business model for any successful business out there, right? So think about all the companies, all the businesses that exist. They know exactly who their ideal client is. So you have to know exactly who are you serving and what are you all about? What is your branding? What is your messaging? All of this over the next couple of days, I'll talk about this solid foundation for your business that you then can build upon. So you need to have this clarity in your business first in order to take the next steps, which is to try to attract your ideal clients, to try to create an offer. You have to know who are you serving, what problems are you solving, what are the pain points of your ideal clients. So you have to have a niche because that also is going to help you stand out in the industry. whether it's travel industry in general, whether it's the travel coaching industry, maybe you're mixing, and I'll get into this as well, but you can combine travel coaching with other areas of your interest. So maybe it's a life coach, maybe it's a retreat leader, maybe you're a travel advisor, maybe you're a group tour leader. We have people in our Travel Coach Network who do all those different things and combine it. So standing out in whatever industry you are in or whatever segment of the industry you're in is really important. So you have to narrow down this about your business. It makes you also more authentic to you. Instead of trying to fit yourself into the mold that the industry already puts out there, you are saying, you are identifying what's setting you apart, what's unique to you. Your travel stories are unique to you. Your own experiences are unique to you. Your perspective is unique to you. Your passion for who you want to help is unique to you. And so you have to learn to combine all these things and build a foundation, build a framework for them so that you can go from there and create an actual business. And you can also become an expert. You want to be seen as a thought leader in your niche. So instead of throwing a label on your niche like luxury or family or adventure or cruises or solo travel or on any of these very broad terms or wellness, any of these broad terms, you're not an expert in that until you can be very specific on what you're an expert in. This is something that helped me tremendously in my wellness travel coaching business. Because I serve business travelers and the corporate space, um, there's wellness experts all in the industry. But I was the one who was getting a lot of attention. I was the one who was getting opportunities. I was the one who was getting paid to speak for certain events. Why? Because I set myself apart. So for me, wellness, I'd ask, what about wellness? Wellness is general, especially when it comes to business travelers. So what is it that I care about when it comes to wellness? For me, I didn't see wellness as in, and this is my own opinion, yoga, spas, meditation, drinking more water, all of those things, working out more, that's wellness to someone. But for me, that's not wellness when it comes to travel. For me, wellness is taking advantage of nature, immersing into the local culture, um, navigating new places and learning more about yourself. I took my own information and beliefs about travel and I mixed that with research. So if you're in our certification program, you'll hear me say a lot, do your research. It's because there's so much information out there that can give pillars of support for your ideas, your beliefs. And that's really important in your business. So whether there's studies, case studies, statistics, quotes, whatever it is that you can find relevant pieces of information to what it is you believe in. And that's what I did. So I gave a new perspective on wellness travel for business travelers. And that made me stand out in the industry. I wasn't another person saying the very basic rhetoric about wellness that they heard over and over and over again. But because that's not also what I cared about. So you have to figure out what it is that you believe in so deeply about travel and who needs to hear that. I'm going to take a look at this question. As a travel coach, are you serving as a group leader or guide or just coaching clients to do their own travel? So this is going to go further into one of the other days where we're going to do creating our offers. But an overview is in the Travel Coach Network, we are advocates of saying it is up to you to structure your ideal business. Just because coach is in the term travel coach, we do not say you have to work one-on-one with people or in group coaching with people. Like I said, our travel coaches have a wide range of business models. So we have travel coaches who combine travel coaching with they go on group trips with their group of girls. We have travel coaches who run retreats, wellness retreats, and they just combine it into there. So it's completely up to you. That is not for me to say how you should structure your business. We are just here to give you all the tools necessary for you to formulate your own business model. I'm coaching clients to do their own. Sorry, I'm coaching clients to do their own travel. Oh yeah, Maria's in the program. Yes, Carrie, it is recorded. All of these are recorded and they will be emailed out. Okay. With that said, does anyone here want to share their niche? Do you guys have a niche? You can either drop it in the, why don't you drop it in the chat and let me know what your niche is? Something else I will say about a niche is that I say niche because it's a known term when it comes to business, right? Especially the travel industry. But I do not believe that you need to niche yourself so far down. What I do want you to do is be hyper specific about who exactly you serve and what their pain points are. And there's a difference between that. And the reason I say this is because having a niche, like those general ones that the travel agent industry is used to, kind of like check the box for the categories that you serve, whether it's luxury, wellness, whatever, within that, you can serve so many different types of people, right? Wellness means something different for everyone. There's different types of wellness. Wellness can have different definitions to people, whatever. So you find a niche, but you have to figure out where do you fit within that space. I would say this example, if you were to sit in a room full of people and they were all different genders, ages, income levels, educational backgrounds, everything, all these general demographics that the industry is used to kind of categorizing people into niches. Like, this is who I serve. I serve people who are women, 50 plus, have an income of this, are in this region of the world, whatever. So niching yourself down like that, there'll become a problem. And so going back to this example, if there's a room full of all different types of people, and you were to stand up in front and you said, who here has been feeling a little heavy in their life lately? Maybe you've experienced something, you're just a little bit burnt out with work, or something traumatic happened in your life, or you're just in a funk lately, whatever it might be. And taking a trip to a place where you can kind of just spend time in nature, be near a body of water, whether you're walking, hiking, lying on a beach. There's you're off the beaten path. There's not many tourists around. You have time to think to yourself. Maybe you have a journal, sit down and journal your thoughts, get some clarity on this next steps for yourself. Do you think everyone who raised their hand and said that they would like that experience and that would mean something to them would be the same age, gender, income level, educational background, anything? No, because if we are trying to provide a transformative experience or meaningful experience for people, we cannot generalize them based off of these generic old school demographics. Uh, Instead, it's about the outcome, the experience, and the outcome that they can potentially have. So that's important for you to know when it comes to figuring out who your niche is. Let's look at some of these niches. Thanks for dropping these in here, guys. Sharon, I'm a luxury travel consultant, but not a particular niche other than high-end luxury. I am incorporating the travel with belief coding and life coaching for midlife women, but I still feel like it needs to be niched down a bit more. You're getting there. So belief coding and life coaching for midlife women. Yeah, I would like to see more about midlife. If you're serving midlife women, so that's a good start, and you want to provide them with a luxury, I'm so sorry, I can't speak, luxury travel experience. What I would like for you to figure out is that gap. So what type of midlife women would need that sort of outcome? So what is the outcome you're helping them achieve? So why luxury? What are they getting out of a luxurious travel experience that's going to benefit them? And why midlife women? So what are they going through? So midlife women could be going through menopause, they can going through divorce, they're going through empty nesters, they can going through life transitions, retirement, whatever it might be. So figuring out these pain points meaning things about your ideal client, good or bad, but knowing specific things about your ideal client and being able to tie the knot between their needs, wants, and desires and the possible outcome they can have from, for you, a luxurious travel experience. And so why would those type of women need that type of experience? You have to be specific in explaining that. Okay. So maybe that will help you figure out who exactly you are serving. If you don't know the type of person, maybe think about the outcome that they could have and then reverse engineer that. Who needs that experience? Who could benefit most from that experience? Okay. Mona, I find that I continue to move within this industry. I am selling myself. I am hoping to be able to advise clients and serve as the subject matter expert. And I want to better match make clients to their ideal vacation. Absolutely. So what we do, Mona, in Travel Coach in our program is teach you how to what I call destination match. So just kind of like what I gave a brief example for Sharon there is that, uh, and sorry if it's Sharon, um, is that so if you're saying a destination, you can do two things. You can choose the destination. If you believe in that a place like Bali, should go to, instead of selling Bali, what is it about Bali? So it's the nature, it's the culture, it's the people, it's the serenity, it's the time to themselves. So, and then say who needs that sort of experience. So maybe it's also wellness. So what kind of wellness can you get from there? Maybe it's boosting their mental well-being, their emotional well-being. Um, and then taking a look at the client and say, what is it about them? So again, those pain points, you have to understand them. The industry is used to saying pain points as or getting to know your ideal client as things like where do they want to go? How many people in their party? What's their past travel decisions? Where have they gone? What platforms have they used? What hotels have they stayed in the past? So using past purchasing decisions when it comes to travelers and then combining that with their needs and wants right now, that's very surface level. Them telling you, I want to go to Paris, we have five of us. My kids love museums. My husband likes to, you know, bike ride. I don't know. That's not really understanding your ideal clients when it comes to providing them with a more meaningful experience. So you have to be able to really understand your ideal client on a human level. And then when you match them with the destination, understand, it's not that you have to understand every destination. You have to understand what we call the attributes of travel. So those attributes of travel, for me, what I teach you as a framework, our travel coach approach framework, is that there's things like human connection. So break human connection down. That could be connecting with other travelers. That could be connecting with the local culture. So culture itself. So is it understanding a different language? Is it navigating new languages? Is it being out of your comfort zone? Like, what is it that's so beneficial about these different things? And of course, we know culture is beneficial. We hear things like immersive travel experiences. How great is that? Well, why? What about being immersed into another culture is beneficial for your ideal clients? You have to understand these things. And then you can say, well, this I understand through your own research too, if you don't know every place in the world, this type of destination would be best fit for my ideal client because I know right now they're going through grief. They are, trying to figure out their next steps in life, getting a little bit of clarity. And I understand that spending time in nature and having them going off the beaten path and, being out of their comfort zone a little bit and giving them time to self-reflect can hopefully help them when they come back integrate what they've experienced and now they feel rejuvenated. They have clarity. They feel a sense of happiness, a sense of purpose again. All of these things that we say does for us, if we say travel, help me find my purpose, or it's help me, find my passions in life, or I travel because I like to meet new people, or I travel because I like to see new sights. Like, all these things that we say, we have to give actual meaning to. So how is it? What's the benefit of meeting new people? So human connection. What's the benefit of human connection? So you have to understand all of these different things about travel if we're trying to sell the travel experience, which we tell you no one ever sells a trip. People don't buy travel. They're buying an outcome, a feeling, a change, a transformation, right? They want to feel something different. I'm booking a trip to get away. What are you getting away from? How do you want to feel when you get back? I'm booking a trip for a vacation with my family. Well, why now? Why that place? Why is really important to ask. Carrie says, working towards a niche that combines my leadership mindset expertise with my intentional travel. Yep, leadership and mindset is really important. There's a lot of companies out there that are creating corporate retreats, executive retreats, getaways. Bruce empowering older travelers to stretch their expectations and look at getting fit for travel to stay fit for. I love that. Yeah, like you and I were via messaging, emailing Bruce that there's so much information out there on the aging benefits of travel, keeping you younger, feeling fit and younger longer. That information is so important for people. They sometimes people of a certain age think it's too late to travel, or I can't travel, or I can't physically do that. But with the right guidance and mindset, they can, and you're the perfect fit to help guide them to do that. Pam says, I want to help people, mainly women, learn to be confident to solo travel and how they can determine their best travel destinations. Yes. So especially women confidently traveling solo. So what I would like for you to do, Pam, is to really assess why solo travel? Like, what are the benefits of solo travel and what type of individual needs that experience? Because solo travel is not for everyone. So if you're going to focus in on maybe like female solo travel, what kind of women should experience solo travel? Because what are they going to get out of that? How is it actually going to benefit them as a human being? Mirka says, I am becoming a transformative travel coach who provides online sessions, transformative coach experiences, and host retreats here in Spain and in Finland. My clients are women wanting to travel and find wellness and empowerment through it, relocate and experience a life change. I'm a novelist and also use journaling as my sessions. Wellness is found in nature and yep, absolutely. So for you, Mirka, I know you just joined the program, so welcome, welcome. My clients are women wanting to travel and find wellness. So what I would challenge you to do is, okay, so before I say that, something I often say to my students in the program is that your ideal client may not be thinking about travel as their option, as their solution, as their avenue for change and transformation. And that's why it's really important for you to identify that within your ideal client or not. For example, if your ideal client is going through grief, life transitions, divorce, they're busy working mom, or they're busy moms, they're busy professionals, anyone who feels like their time and their space is already so much going on, they're probably not thinking about travel. They might be thinking about getting out of this situation or this feeling. So maybe a getaway has crossed their mind, but they are not saying, I need to go on a trip because maybe time, budget, obligations, responsibilities are holding them back. So that's where your marketing is so important as a travel coach, as a business owner. It's for you to inspire, empower, and educate them on why they should take a trip, why they should travel. So it's the opposite of what we've always seen in the industry when it's book now, go here, beautiful beach, palm trees, nightlife, look at the luxury shopping, whatever. That sort of messaging was being sold, marketed at a very surface level and trying to speak to everyone. But for you, as a business owner, as a coach, you have to know who your ideal client is and what type of messaging speaks to them most. Okay, so painting that picture as the outcome. So for going back to you, Mirka, talk about women wanting to travel and find wellness. Well, why do they want to travel? What type of women want to travel? And what does wellness look like to them? Okay, so because travel and wellness are very, very broad terms. If you're trying to reach anyone, any woman out there, I'm not talking just to you, I'm saying in general, but if you're trying to reach any woman out there who wants to travel or have wellness in their life, you're going to have a really hard time trying to reach them because your messaging is going to go all over the place because you're not specific enough to them to reach them. Okay. And then I love that you're talking about incorporating journaling. So we'll get further on in our slides here, but in today's session, I'll mention how you can incorporate and should incorporate other interests of yours into your travel business. So I like seeing that you're doing that. Coach Gwen says, I am an ICF ACC life coach and travel advisor and will be hosting, facilitating coaching retreats focused on wellness and spiritual formation women. Also, I currently curate solo retreats for helping professionals who desire to recharge and rejuvenate. Yeah, I love that. Again, I would be specific on wellness. There's so many wellness retreats and experiences and excursions out there. I want you guys to be hyper specific on who are these things for. Lindy says, my services are designed for clients, primarily elder millennials and Gen X who crave meaningful, joyful, and tailored travel experiences, but may not know where to begin. All right, so for you, figure out why do they crave meaningful, joyful, and tailored travel experiences? What does that even mean for them? So that you can speak directly to them. And then they don't know where to begin. We'll figure out why. Why haven't they started? What has been holding them back so far? You're very welcome, Mona. Bruce said, isn't there a third role to help someone who already has a travel plan look at what the impact of that trip could be, to play devil's advocate, to test a travel plan according to their needs using coaching to help sort out some of self-awareness and needs? Yeah, absolutely. How you incorporate coaching into working with your clients, the sky's the limit. Again, that's up to you guys to figure out for your individual client, what are their needs? It's not always about helping them plan and go on a trip. Maybe they have a trip in mind and helping them figure out what type of experience and activities might be best for them and being more intentional. And that's where intentional travel comes in, helping them be more aware, more mindful, and more intentional for their trip. So it's not just a vacation, it's an actual experience for them. Emily is working on fast paced multi-country solo female traveler after career transition or emotional breakup. I love that. Yvonne says, I help women 40s, 50s solo travel, but don't know where to begin, and empower them to solo travel with confidence and joy, prioritize their needs and passions, and create a more fun, fulfilling life. I break it down to baby easy steps, from being a hometown tourist to taking the show on the road to domestic goddess and international high flyer. Yeah, so it sounds like to me, Yvonne, you've created some sort of framework here. So what are your teachings? And this is something we teach you in the program, is that what are your teachings? What is it that you believe in? So I'm not going to do training on a framework today, but it just briefly, you have to know what is it that your ideal clients need to have or know and understand in order to have the transformation outcome that they're looking for, the journey that they're looking for, and what is it that you believe in, and how can you put structure to that. Listening to you, I realize I have the how to do it, but need to look at the outcome I will give them. Yep. Get new life, know themselves deeper. Yes, the benefits of travel is always so, so important, you guys. So you have to know who are your ideal clients, what are their main pain points, and what is the main problem that you're solving for them. And it's not that they just don't know how to get started. Anyone knows how to get started. There's something else that's beneath the surface. And that's for you as a coach to really understand your ideal clients and pull back those layers. Asking them the five whys is really important. It's something I've learned from a mentor of mine, Joe Pine, who's writing The Transformation Economy. He wrote the Experience Economy. I'm in a small group program with him that as he writes his book, and he talks about the importance of the five whys. So peeling back those layers as a coach and saying, well, why do you feel that way? Why do you think that? No, why? Think a little bit deeper here. Because when you're asking why, people go from a very generic surface level, I'm just giving you an answer, the first thing comes off the top of my head, to getting them to really think. And I want you guys to do that for yourselves too. So if you think that this is your niche, you think this is who you want to serve, well, why? Well, why though? Why is travel important to you? No, really, why is travel actually important to you? What has travel done for you? And that's something that people really struggle with. That I've worked with a lot of you guys as in the program. Many people struggle with figuring out what travel actually has done for you, and that's really important to helping you figure out your niche. And I'll talk about that here in a second on another slide. Um, I'm just going to go through the questions. Janetta says, I am interested in helping clients who have mobility limitations to see travel as attainable. Yes, there are travel coaches who do focus in this. Absolutely. The accessibility in travel is a topic that is on the rise, that many companies have pressure on being able to make their accommodations, their airlines, their whatever it might be more accessible. So there's a really big void in the industry for you to become um, the expert, the thought leader in that niche. Marcus says, my one specific niche is Middle East, women wanting to travel first time on their own or in friends groups, and also women who are moving to Spain or considering relocation in general. So it sounds like you have a couple different niches there. So serving women from the Middle East, is it yeah, Middle East women, right? Wanting to travel for the first time on their own or in friends group is one segment because they have their own pain points. Being from the Middle East, being a woman, like there's a whole different set of pain points that they have versus someone else who are just women who are moving to Spain or considering relocation in general. That's a whole different niche. So for you, Mirka, you're brand new to the program. I would just give it time and go through the modules and really take some time to self-reflect and assess like what do I really feel called for? And if it is that you guys do have two different niches, I challenge you to see if there's a common denominator between them. And why that's important is because if you find a link between them, it's easier for you to create a business that encompasses all of it versus feeling like you're serving two different ideal clients. And that is possible to do. And that's the 5 questions, Carrie, asking why 5 times. So, Carrie, you're in the program in the coaching module. I think it's like 7 or 6 or something. I inserted how to ask and why you should ask 5 times. And it's not just 5 times. It might take more to ask. It might take less, but it's just the point is really being able to pull back the layers with your ideal client, with your client, and getting them to, because the coaching is all about self-actualization. It's not, you're not an advisor. You're not telling them what they should do, what they should believe, how they should feel, where they should go. It's you're coaching them to pull the answers from within. So their why is really important. And it's you can't tell them their why. They have to know their own why. And you're not telling them where to go, you're guiding them towards based off of your expertise, your research, your understanding, and your understanding of them as an individual, you're guiding them. So there's a big difference between how you're going to show up with your clients. And that's something why how to coach and work with someone is so important versus just knowing a set of questions that you should ask a client. Okay, let's move on to the next. All right, so we kind of you guys shared some of your niches here. So what I want you guys to start thinking now is why did you start traveling in the first place? I don't want to hear answers like to see new sights, meet new people, try new foods, go on adventures, have new experiences, because that tells me nothing about you. It tells me nothing about why travel. It tells me nothing of what travel did for you and why was it travel that you turned to. I want you guys to really, really start thinking and asking yourself your own whys. Why did you really start traveling? And this was something that was really hard for me. It was easy for me to say the pretty nice answer. And the pretty and nice answer that I always gave was like, well, I graduated from university. I was 22 years old. I didn't want to take the corporate route and I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I decided to travel. I had time and freedom and I'd saved up money. Even though that is true, that is not my actual why I started traveling. I had to do some self-reflection. And I said, yeah, I've always struggled with an anxiety disorder. I was experiencing depression in my last couple of years of university. I was not in a good headspace. I wanted to mentally and physically go away. I didn't want to be in the busy city of Chicago I was in. I didn't like my routine I was doing. I was doing this, I was burnt out from work. I had the same routine of just getting up, going to work. I was in a grind all the time. I was not in a happy place and I could not see where my life was going to go and what was going to make me happy. Did I know travel was going to do that for me? No, but I had a sense of getting away. I wanted a new environment. I wanted something new. So this is important for you to understand about yourself because your ideal client might see themselves in your story, in your journey, in your outcomes, in your transformations, in your results. And until you can identify that about yourself, your ideal clients cannot identify that about you, or they will not engage in that for you. And I often see travel coaches struggling and business owners, travel business owners struggling to do this. And therefore, they're all over the board when it comes to who they serve. There's a lack of consistency in who they serve and why. You have to know your why. I'm not going to do a workshop on creating your brand story today, but that is so important to talk about in the program. If you go into our TCN Global Community on Facebook, there and you go into I think it's called guides. I did a training on it. This is our couple years ago free 6-day workshop, and I did a brand story. I don't think I'm doing brand story this time. I didn't check my schedule. But there's a way to actually create your brand story. It's a key piece to your strategic marketing plan. And every single company, business owner, business out there has a brand story. You need to know the genesis of your business and your ideas. Where did this come from? Why do you want to serve who you're serving? Why do you want to do what you're doing? That's really important. And it's only 3 paragraphs. So that's why it's important to understand how to create that. But many people lack that. And until you can get your brand story down, you will struggle to have consistency. And what I mean by that is you might define your niche as one thing, you'll define your ideal client as another, you'll tell me your core message as another, and you'll tell me your why for who you're serving as another. That's inconsistency. It all has to flow within your entire business model. Teresa says this workshop has just started and I see I need to join the certification program. We would love to have you join us, Tracy. I've been trying to figure out if this was the program for me for what I want to do. I think it is. I used a framework called the Believe Framework as a travel advisor to help my clients create adventures, but need to niche down more. But I want to know, can you coach and be an advisor? Absolutely. We have tons of travel agents, advisors who have come into our program to combine it. We actually have a training and a module specific to being a travel advisor and combining coaching into your services based off of what you already do and how you run your business. Yes, to escape a life I hated and was not happy and satisfied. Travel is in my blood. I grew up message in the industry and as I've grown older, it made me realize that the more I need travel to feel fulfilled. I've taken my mom's legacy and span on. Oh, I love that. We actually have a travel coach in our program, Federica, who I love her story. She lost her mom and used travel as a way to connect again with her mom through adventures they were supposed to have together and everything. So something we love to do is highlight your guys' stories because everyone has a unique story and it really highlights how valuable travel is in our lives. Okay. Keep on sharing your why for travel. I'm going to keep on going here. So the next question is, why was it travel that you turned to? And this is important to understand for your ideal clients. So when you hear me say, like, why should they care about travel? You have to understand that. You have to identify that. You have to be able to support that. Why should your ideal client, for those who don't know me, I am a fairly new mom, and so my brain sometimes has lapses in them from the lack of sleep. But the what's this thing? Why was it that you turned to travel? You have to understand why travel. Why does your ideal client care about travel? Why should they care about travel? Why should they care about taking a trip? So whatever it is that you're trying to say, this is the outcome that you can have. This is the journey you should take. This is the transformation that could possibly have, or this is the destination that I believe would be best for you. Well, why? Why that transformation? Why that outcome? Why that destination? You have to understand why is it travel. For people quitting, so this is why going back to when I started learning about or figuring out my own niche and focus on the corporate space. And as a backpacker, I saw and heard a lot about people quitting the 9 to 5 to travel, as I mentioned. I said, well, why is it travel that they're turning to? There's even executives who would quit their corporate job, their level, their income that they had, everything they've built and achieved, and turn to travel. And I said, what is so powerful about travel that people turn to? And that's important for you to know for your ideal client. So this question is geared towards you. I want you guys to be able to identify, why is it travel that you turn to? And you may not know the exact answer, but give the feelings that you have that you associated with travel. What did you think travel was going to make you feel? Or what feelings did you hope travel would have brought you? Mona says, "This is what I do. I lost my mom. I'm so sorry." And the business fell into my lap. I can't fathom. My mom's in the other room watching my baby, so you might hear them. All right. So, how did travel change or impact you? So, this is another thing. And once you guys get these questions down, it's going to be cakewalk for you guys to be able to create your brand story. But you have to know, what did travel do to you? How did it impact you? How did it change you? How did it transform you? Whatever it is that term you want to use. What aha moment did you have during travel? What was that turning point during travel? What did you realize during travel? Again, it's highlighting the importance of travel. You have to be able to articulate this, because if you're trying to convince people to travel, sell travel, promote travel, whatever term you want to use, you have to understand the benefits of it. And you can start with yourself. Your own story in your travel business is gold. And many people overlook that. They try to mimic what they see out there, the content, the reels, the photos, the captions, the hashtags, everything, trying to mimic what other people are doing or what they're told is successful. You need to reel it back in, and you need to build a travel business that's authentic to you. Your truth about travel, your story about travel, these are key components to creating a travel business that is not like everyone else's. It makes you stand out, makes you a thought leader, makes you an expert. And this is why it's important, is all about branding. You're branding your business. And when you brand your business, that allows the doors to open for your ideal clients to connect with you, to relate to you, to be drawn to you. One of the biggest questions I get is, well, how do I get clients? Well, how does any business get clients? Effective marketing. And that's what we teach you as well. But this is part of that foundation. Check out the comments. What is it about travel that you believe so deeply in? What do you believe so deeply in about travel? And who needs to hear that? This is a part of your core message. So we're going to expand upon this tomorrow session. Um, but you have to understand, what is it that you believe in about travel? Because that also is going to set you apart. And you have to be specific. Everything that you guys are doing, I want you to be specific. I don't want you to think, well, the first reaction that I have or the common answers that are said, because that's what happens. It's what happens when I ask people, well, why do you travel? Why do you love to travel? What does travel do for you? We hear the very common answers, but that doesn't tell us anything. So you have to identify what is it that you believe so deeply in about travel. And then who needs to hear that and understand that? Next question. Before I go into this, I'll check. Travel transforms spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Yes, that is a really good start. So tomorrow, Gwen, we will figure out how you can use that belief, and tie it into your core message. No worries if you guys have to hop off. This is being recorded and we'll send it out for you guys. All right, so moving on, what areas of the industry or any other topics are you interested or passionate about? And what I mean by this is, are there other areas of the travel industry that you're interested in? Could it be hotels? Is it cruise lines? Or are there other topics that you're interested or passionate about? So that could be retreats, that could be uh, wellness, that could be parent life, that could be relationships, couples, that could be writing, that could be anything. So you guys figure out, are there other areas? It could be the corporate space. So for me, how I was able to figure out who I wanted to serve as a wellness travel coach was because I focused on and was highly interested in, even though I didn't take the corporate route and wasn't a business traveler, the business travel industry in particular. And that's what skyrocketed my wellness travel coaching business, was being involved in that industry and really understanding the industry and understanding their pain points and taking my concept of wellness travel and injecting it into there. And boom, I rose as a thought leader in that industry. So, how are there other areas? So maybe you're like about the workplace or remote work. We have a travel coach who through her own experiences with remote work, found her own pain points and then realized the pain points in the industry and now serves other remote workers. So this area or this question kind of helps you dabble in, is there a different niche, or can I take the concept I believe in and add it into a different segment of an industry? Or can I combine this with what it is that I'm doing? And you may not have any other area, or may not know right now, and this might come up later. All of these things, questions that I'm asking you guys, you don't have to have the answers right now. I want you to take these questions back and reflect on them. And that's why going through our program, the way it's structured is for a specific reason. There are things that you should be working on and thinking about, and things you shouldn't be working on and thinking about yet, because you can't create an offer if you have no idea the transformation you're providing and who exactly it's for. You can't get visible in your business if you don't even know your core message. So the flow is really important. And a lot of these things just come over time and as you think, right? You're not going to get the answers like that overnight. Maybe you will. I'm full of ideas. Good, Mona. That's what I hope. I want you guys to take away some actual steps to go back and think about and reflect on and get some aha moments for starting your own travel coaching business or integrating travel coaching into whatever it is that you guys are currently doing. Think about what parts of your story do people often ask you about or relate to. This isn't always applicable, but this sometimes is. So sometimes you're like, well, people always ask me how I'm able to. We have travel coaches who focus on points and miles. So that's their thing. And it's because people always ask them, how did you get all those points? Or how do you figure out how to spend them? And that's what they became passionate about helping others do. If you're a woman and people always ask you, like, how do you travel and stay safe? How do you travel and How do you go on that solo trip? It's something I've always thought about and never done on my own. Well, maybe you think about that being an angle that you want to tackle. Traveling has made me learn about who I am and where I belong. Travel's helped me find my peace. Yeah, so when you say things like help me find my peace, I want you to really break that down because if okay, so this is how you can also figure out who you can serve. So if you're saying travel has helped me find my peace, and you break that down, what is actually having a sense of peace feel like? Why do you need a sense of peace? What's the benefits of having a sense of peace? What has it allowed you to be able to do? Because other types of people might have a variety of types of pain points that come from different backgrounds or reasons, but also need to find a sense of peace. So for example, we have a travel coach who helps others who come from very like strict cultures um, find a sense of peace and freedom. So that's the word freedom means something different to everyone. And so for you guys, when you say these type of things, I know you're just sharing here, Mirka, but I want you guys to really break it down and say, well, who also could want this sort of outcome? Who can relate to what it is that I've experienced or I feel? It might not be your exact story or your exact outcome or your exact reason for finding the peace, but they could relate to it and then being able to understand, well, why can they relate to it? What is it about them? There's so many different ways that you guys can figure out your niches and your ideal clients. And it starts with really just narrowing it down of your own why. How did I manage to stay at Hustles? Some people ask me that too. I love Hustles. There's a lot of benefits. So if you really were to break it down to them, talk about the human connection, the relationships they can make, the budget, the benefits of the budget, um, getting out of their comfort zone. You can kind of spin it and talk about the benefits. And if there's someone who is in need of those different things, maybe getting out of their comfort zone and staying in a hostel is something that can really benefit them and they can maybe have some new aha moments coming out of that experience. What problems, voids, or shortages have you noticed in an industry or an area? So it's kind of similar off of like your own skills and interests. But for example, for me, I noticed that the corporate world wasn't paying attention to or putting value to travel when it comes to people quitting their 9 to 5. The business travel industry, I found a shortage in wellness when it comes to beyond gym, spas, yoga retreats, and wellness centers. So that's how I was able to kind of figure out my niches or my niche and enter those different segments. So if you're not sure, what I would really recommend you guys doing, and this was one of my favorite times in starting my business, and I still do this, but not as much, is doing your research. I spent a couple years, just really diving into the various wellness benefits of travel. So much so I have a document that I go back to all the time when I get opportunities to speak. So the mental wellness, emotional, spiritual, all of those different wellness benefits. Understand the travel industry. Start Googling why do people travel? Narrow it down to who it is that you think you want to serve. So why do women travel? Why do women not travel? See what comes up. You guys will go through a rabbit hole. If it's an industry, if it's corporate you want to tackle, do you think you want to serve professional women? Start Googling or use Chat GPT. What would be the benefits of professional women traveling? Why don't they go on trips? How many people have said they would like to go on a trip, but their work holds them back? Doing your research can give you some clarity and aha moments, as well as pillars of strength for your beliefs and your ideas. People ask me how I became a coach. Also, the other interests, like the mention of incorporating journaling, if you're a writer or you value journaling, if there's other things that you do, you can incorporate that into your business. We have travel coaches who have dance backgrounds or meditation backgrounds or yoga backgrounds or Pilates backgrounds or uh, astrocartography background skills or so many different things. You can integrate that. If you find value in connection, you feel like it's something that it benefited you when you're traveling, or you find that it's a good, they complement what you're doing as a travel coach, incorporate that into how you work with and serve your clients. Travel coaching is also about accountability. It's also about um, the mindset. It's about so much more than just the planning and the traveling aspect. All right, we're coming towards the end here. Yep. Um, all right. Do we have, what questions do we have? You guys can also raise your hand and unmute yourself too if you have questions. I know we covered a lot on figuring out what your niche could be and travel coaching in general. Tomorrow session is also at the same time, so 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we're going to talk about crafting your core message and why you even need one. But I'm happy to answer questions.
I have a question. It wasn't addressed. I'm struggling why someone would pay for a coach. I don't see. I personally wouldn't pay for a travel coach, but I'm also an expert traveler, so that hasn't been answered yet.
Yeah, so a travel coach is not someone, you don't pay a travel coach just so you can travel. Again, it's about the journey, it's about the transformation. So there are travel coaches who take people on the actual, again, it's about putting it travel as a tool in your toolkit, not just this one-time sort of experience. So you wouldn't pay for a travel coach if you don't have a specific need for them. If there are, for example, our travel coaches who serve women going through loss or grief, that's a journey. It's not a one-time trip, and you know how to use all that you learn and experience through your trip to integrate into your life and to help you with that grieving process, with the clarity you're looking for. So it's designing these experiences, whether it's through programs, your coaching, it's the group trips, whatever it might be. And also, like I said, it's not, you can combine travel coaching into whatever it is that you do. It's what we teach in the program is the foundation, the fundamentals of travel coaching. So whether you continue to plan and book trips as a travel agent, if you are a life coach, so it's the same thing about a life coach. You know how to live your life, but why do people need a life coach? Because they have a specific need for that. So there's all different reasons why someone would need a travel coach, but I would need to be a lot more specific on, need to know the more specifics on what that travel coach does and who do they serve. Travel coaches with the points. I know there's a travel coach company out there that's very successful who runs a program when it comes to teaching people how to use a, not only, I think it's just about miles and points, but how to use that. And people have, come out of that with the knowledge and know-how of doing it all on their own and not needing anyone else and not needing to go pay for a travel agent to book their trips anymore. So everyone is so different, and every need is different. Janetta?
Hi, I had a question about lived experience. Do I need to have gone through the same challenge or transformation that I'm appealing to clients about in order to be a travel coach?
Yeah, no, not at all. So knowing your story is one way to figure out your ideal client. They could relate to you, they could not. They could also just maybe relate to the outcome that you've achieved. Maybe travel has just benefited you in a certain way. And they want that outcome despite their own background and challenges and pain points. So you do not need to know that. You also don't need to be uh, travel to 84 countries like I have in order to be a travel coach either. It's not about knowing every single destination. It's about understanding your ideal client and knowing what is the outcome that they are looking for. So maybe for you, Janetta, and I don't know you and your background, but let's say that you started traveling and travel really just helped build your confidence. And now you're capable to like ask for a raise at work. You're capable of, leaving the partner you were with because knew it wasn't suiting you and you're living a more independent life. Maybe there's women out there who need that boost of confidence for whatever their specific goals are. So there's a way to always spin it and put a connection to your ideal clients, but you do not need to have the same background or pain points as your ideal clients. Bruce.
I'm curious about the work that you do and what the pain points are for the people in a corporate environment but make it obvious to them that they need your help, number one. And then for your corporate sponsors, how they see the benefit to themselves and their employees. I'm kind of connected to the world of healthcare. I've been concerned about, I'm trying to be involved in burnout, physician burnout for a long time. I had never thought about that particular world as something that this may apply to.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what we like to teach you in the program is that you don't need to have a one-on-one business model for your travel coaching business. And so that's not what I did as a wellness travel coach. And in particular, the travel managers, because they're the ones in charge of the programs for the travel business travelers. So understanding their pain points was really important. And some of those pain points of the business travelers, there's tons of information out there on that. Just what they call road warriors, or they're people who times of the years more than others, who are just, who travel for business. So things like burnout, things like lack of connection with their family, mental health issues, poor emotional support, addiction, bad habits. And so there's a tons of pain points. And obviously those are problems for the business travel, well, their company, because if your business traveler doesn't feel their best, doesn't perform their best, they're not going to do whatever it is they're set out to do on that business trip. So close the sale, build that relationship, present themselves, whatever it is. They all have different goals, different times. So where I came in was like, take a look at all this information on the various wellness benefits of travel, and then how that can benefit them professionally and help them reach whatever goals they have as the business traveler for this particular trip. And here are some ways that they can do that. So I gave some examples ranging from what they could do in their hotel to how they can take advantage of this location where they are, whether there's bodies of water, green spaces, problem solving, whatever it might be. It really varied. But what I did as a wellness travel coach was I spoke to the companies themselves and delivered that information. And so my business model was working with them through apps and programs, as well as speaking opportunities. And then I take that and I just tweak that information for the corporate space. So talk about company culture, talk about employee well-being. These are, if you say that this is important to you, why is it important? How is it going to benefit your employees if there is good company culture, if there is, a sturdy wellness program in place, and then how does travel fit into that? We'll look at as simple as getting them outside more, or having them actually talk about their vacations when they come back, or using their vacation days appropriately, because we know that in the States we don't. So there's so much information out there. I just took that, formulated that, and presented that to the companies. But if you're in the healthcare space, there's so much out there. I would inspire, or I would encourage you to go and do some research, especially what they're doing in the UK. There's a lot of articles that came out during the pandemic of how physicians in the UK were prescribing time in nature, blue and green spaces for people struggling with anxiety and depression. There's also prescribing travel is becoming a rising term. So I would take a look at that. And then also see what they're doing in the corporate wellness space when it comes to corporate retreats or remote work gatherings, or just even the concept of embracing remote work also embodies the importance of traveling too. Mirka. Am I even saying your name?
Yes, thank you. I got the voice on. It's been a great session today, and I thought that I have my niche, but you made me understand that maybe I need to be even more specific. So it's been really good. I'm thinking now about the pricing model. I've already set up some services, and obviously now comparing USA, Europe, and Middle East, then the markets are very different, and who can pay what and who are you catering to. So, and I did some research on this, but I was just wondering what you do, what you recommend to do. That is there a certain price you keep it out there, or how does it work? What is a ballpark figure that would then help to move forward? Thanks.
Are you asking of what to price yourself at?
Yes. I guess what is an average hourly price or something, like how do you, then of course it depends. I mean, you built in your pricing. I'm creating a retreat now, and I'm thinking how much I need to get when doing that transformative retreat in a boutique hotel, or then when working with the DMC in Finland to take these wealthy people to Lapland who can pay a lot. So I mean, it can be something very different also.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So it is very different. So let's just wheel it back and just say you're hosting a one-on-one coaching session with someone. That price is gonna be different because it depends on what are you actually helping that person with. So what is the outcome and transformation? So that's what you should be measuring is the ROI that they're gonna get when it comes to the outcome. So the transformation, the change, the outcome, what value are they getting in the end? And then take a look at how much of your personal time are you putting into that. So if you guys are creating programs or courses or 6-week programs or retreats, you have to look at how much of your personal time, that's not the only thing, how much of your one-on-one is there, what value are they getting, what are they walking away with? Are they walking away with tools and things that they can take on their own and they'll never need to come back to you again? Or is it something that has to be reoccurring? And what's the value that you place on those tools and outcomes that they get? So for you, though, if you're doing retreats, you have a whole different monster to tackle because now you got to look at the expenses that you had. So I don't have a price for you to give you for any of that. We need to know if it's a retreat, you'd have to really break that down in a spreadsheet yourself. You're in the program, Mirka.
We have that. I'm just talking about my part. If I'm planning the retreat and I have all the prices of everything because the boutique hotel wants it and the seller wants it. I'm concerned of if I do like 2 hours on 4 days with the people and I build the retreat. So kind of that part.
What are you doing in those 2 hours? What are you helping them with? What's happening during those 2
we
hours?
would do the reflective talk, we would do the transformation, we would do journaling. I would be with them when we do different programs, like a walk and visiting a restaurant where are people who have moved here and they changed their lives, women entrepreneurs like that. So there will be, and then it's separate if they would book one-on-one, but this would be for a small group to be with them, reflect, journal together and talk.
So you would have to ask yourself, what's a value that you would feel good with that to be? And that's something that might change. Prices, and no matter what you price, it's going to change. You'll kick yourself in the foot sometimes and be like, I should have charged more for that. You'll learn your lesson. You might feel like you overshot the price. You won't know until you try. And that is a common question of like, what do I price? But it's such a hard thing to answer. And I bring in a lot of in the program and in our membership club. Everyone has the same answer. I can't tell you what to price yourself. So if you're looking for what do I charge for 2 hours as a group coaching, what feels good to you? What value do you feel like you are giving them? And what would satisfy you? And I'd probably lift it up a little bit higher than that. We often underestimate our worth and our value. So this is your time you're giving. This is your expertise, your knowledge, and it's a part of the journey that's important for the transformation you're helping them achieve. So you have to figure out what is it worth it for you and for them too. Because if we undershoot, people don't often take it seriously. If we overshoot, we feel like, oh, it's not attainable for people. So this is something I would challenge you to kind of toy with a bit and slap a number on there the first time, your lesson, and then, or maybe it's a great price and you're going to do it, what do you do for the next time? Okay. Do we have another question? No. So I will send out this replay, or what am I saying? I'm going to send out it's the same link. So use the same link for all the other days. It's a recurring Zoom link. So tomorrow's session is your core message and why you need one. So this is going to go more into your marketing, which is super important. So when I do send that email out with this link, I'll also send the replay to this in that email. And I will also send, if you guys don't have, and even if you do, I'm sending out our new edition of our Beginner's Guide to Travel Coaching. It covered a lot of these questions that I asked today. So I'm just going to make it fillable and I'll send it to you guys. So you can go and write in there, or, I'm a person, I like to write on my own. So, or grab your own notebook and have all this information in one place. It's really important for you to see the consistency over it. What did someone say about their chat GPT? Yes, you said my price is lower than what my professional chat GPT tells me. Yes. Most likely we're going to undercharge. Again, business is a journey, just like travel. We learn lessons, we make mistakes, we, trial and error, all of that. So you guys will learn. I mean, I'm still learning as a business owner. You guys will always be learning as well. So that's the best that we can all do, right? All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope to see you all tomorrow or any of the other days this week. If you need anything, have questions, anything like that comes up after, you can feel free to shoot me an email. If I feel like it would be answered in tomorrow's session, I'll just let you know that and I'll save the answer for tomorrow. But I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Bye, everyone.